If someone isn't happy on their own, you probably shouldn't date them. Why? Well, here's the thing. Someone being able to be happy on their own, being happy in their own company, and being happy alone, that's a prerequisite for creating healthy relationships, along with having a decent level of self-awareness and a decent level of emotional maturity. Those three things combined are basically the recipe for healthy relationships. But one of the more important pieces of that puzzle is someone's ability to just be happy on their own, because this means that they're not going to rely on you to create their happiness. And that's huge, because when somebody has that fear of being alone and they're incapable of enjoying their own company and being happy on their own, that means they're likely going to be incredibly needy. They're going to rely on you for many things that they could otherwise create for themselves. Happiness being pretty much the most important one. You don't want anyone ever placing all their happiness on you. I know that movies and books and TV shows and other entertainment media kind of romanticize this stupid idea of it being a good thing for us to want someone who can't live without us, someone who basically places all their happiness and life fulfillment on us. But in reality, nobody really wants that, because the truth of that, the way that it works out in the real world, is that it's incredibly unhealthy, sometimes almost even toxic, because that other person, now that they place all their happiness on you, it's going to make them act really weird. It's going to create a lot of neediness that you aren't going to want to put up with. I've talked in prior videos about how neediness is often one of the biggest attraction killers, and when somebody is incredibly needy, they basically can self-sabotage, and they can sabotage the relationship along with it, because neediness creates all these really unhealthy behaviors, one of which being accusing your partner of constantly cheating whenever they're no longer around you, because you don't trust them anymore, because you're so needy that you start thinking, why are they with me? Why do they like me? What do they see in me? And inevitably that's going to make you think that they're looking for better people than you. So yeah, that's just one example. There's even far more that neediness creates, and it's not a good thing. So a great prerequisite a great prerequisite for knowing that somebody is going to be capable of creating healthy relationships is them being comfortable and happy on their own, because that tells you immediately they're probably going to have a way lower level of neediness than the average person. I believe all of us are going to be needy to some extent. I don't think you can truly get rid of your neediness. It'll just play out in different ways, but you can definitely greatly diminish the level of neediness that you have, to the point where it almost comes off like you're not needy at all, even though certain things would still be able to trigger that neediness in you. So don't aim to never be needy. Just aim to work on enjoying your own company so much that you no longer rely on other people for so many things that you can provide for yourself. That on its own will greatly diminish your level of neediness. But in terms of being able to spot when somebody else is comfortable and happy on their own, just pay attention to whether or not they give you hints that they actually do things on their own and that they seem happy on their own. In fact, if somebody just seems happy in general and they're single, that's probably a good indicator that they're capable of creating happiness on their own and that they can enjoy their own company. Because it's more often a trait of people who have that fear of being alone, who when they're single aren't happy, and they'll even complain about it, and they'll make hints that they want to find someone to complete them, make their life better, that sort of thing. So usually someone who is more healthy and is capable of creating happiness on their own, there'll be some subtle signs, like just the fact that they're going to seem happier than most people. They'll come off secure in themselves because they likely actually are. They'll do things on their own, that sort of thing. Those are basically the clues you can use to tell when someone has this quality, because you often can't just ask someone whether or not they enjoy their own company, especially because if that person is savvy enough to tell that you're asking that question as a qualifier for how much more time you should invest in them, they could easily lie to you if they pick up on that. So often just asking that question isn't going to be enough. unless you're really good at telling when people lie. But that's often difficult to tell when you first are getting to know someone, because you have to establish a baseline for them. And if you don't know what that other person is like, you're probably not going to be able to tell when they're lying to you. So try not to ask questions like hinting towards that. Just basically figure it out by the things they do, their hobbies, that sort of thing. And over time, you can kind of tell just from interacting with enough people. You can kind of notice the mold for people who are happy on their own. They come off a certain way. They come off usually more grounded, more secure in themselves. They will genuinely be a lot happier and more cheerful than people who have that fear of being alone. So those are just some of the things you can look out for. But over time, you will kind of start to intuitively be able to separate these people from the herd. You'll just kind of know what they are like. So it's a very helpful thing. But anyway, this video is actually turning out to be a bit longer than I wanted it to be, because at the end of the day, all I really wanted to say is that you should definitely only really date people who are comfortable and happy in their own company, because it just basically, I can't quite say guarantees, but it greatly increases the odds of you creating a healthy relationship with them. Because if somebody is lacking this quality, well, they could be working towards it, of course. So I wouldn't say you should ever completely just like cut someone out because they lack this quality. If they're working towards it, that's awesome. But if somebody does lack this quality, it just kind of tells you that they probably could create some unhealthy behaviors in a relationship, and that's just something that you should keep in the back of your mind. I wouldn't say this is a hard and fast rule, but I would pretty much say that if you're considering marrying someone, make sure that person can actually be happy on their own before you marry them, because it's just a very important thing. And also, for marriage tips, this is more a topic for another video, but remember, high level of self-awareness, high level of emotional maturity, combine those three things together, the third one, of course, being that they're happy on their own, and then you can know for sure that that person is probably worth marrying. But topic for another video, but you get a little sneak peek of it in this one, I guess. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys in this video. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you enjoy content like this, be sure to subscribe for more. Otherwise, like the video. That's the easiest way to help me out. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. You know I read all your comments, and I'm curious to see what you think about this. Oh, and especially if you have other tips for people spotting someone who is comfortable and happy on their own, please share that below, because I do feel like it's kind of difficult for me to describe. So if some of you have noticed other traits that these people have so that you can spot them well, then definitely share that, because I'm at that point where it's intuitive for me, which means it's hard for me to explain. So but anyway, truly hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Arrivederci.